We were asked about a lizard that someone found while gardening outside of Seattle. I have in my notes, here's the animal in question. Well, I don't have the picture, so all I have is I have a book. I can't show the book, though, because it's going to reveal that this lizard is not a lizard at all. This lizard is Ambystoma macrodactylum, long-toed salamander. Terrible. Macrodactylum, meaning long-toed. Ambystoma, it's the type genus of the family Ambystomatidae. And it's a salamander. It's not a lizard. What's the difference?
Huh.
So, wow, our tech is just freaking out today, isn't it? I thought I actually, and that keeps happening. I could have shown any number of trees for this, but here is a tree actually that I created for inclusion in our book. So this tree, some version of it is going to be in our book. In the chapter in which we just go through the deep history of the lineage that humans have belonged to. And so we have more or less reading left to right on this tree of tetrapods. Time, more or less. And then the vertical direction, what would be a vertical axis of this or an XY coordinate system, is meaningless. And so what you have here, if you trace, for instance, here from the root of the tree up to here at the top, happens to be the top, it could be anywhere. We have amphibians. A salamander is a type of amphibian. And it's a totally different line up here to get to the lizards. And lizards is not referring to lizards, other lizards like amphibians, but other snakes and other lizards. And so this is not the place to give a systematics lecture, but point is amphibians, of which salamanders are a portion, are sort of a basal tetrapod group. They don't have an ability to be totally free from the water because they have an egg that desiccates when they get away from water. And we had this amazing innovation called the amniotic egg. And all the reptiles and their descendants, which includes birds and includes mammals, a separate lineage of reptile descendants, are amniotes, and we can be completely free of the water, and lizards are one of those groups. But many salamanders look like lizards and vice versa. And there are certainly diagnostic ways that you can tell the difference. But at some level, and this used to be an answer, the very first field season that we spent in graduate school, we were in Costa Rica with John Vandermeer, who was our professor, and we had 4 or 5 other grad students with us. And he basically created a summer-long tropical biology and kind of land use course. And he'd be walking around showing us, like, and that's Welfia and that's Socratea, and he loved the palms. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many palms. How do we tell the difference? And he started to say things like, the difference between that's Gestalt. Gestalt became the answer that he would give to us as to how to tell the difference between close organisms sometimes. And be like, oh man, that's not helpful because we don't have the Gestalt yet. We don't have the sense yet of what it is that you are honing in on. And he's an excellent scientist. He knew that there are actually characters that describe the history that is revealed to be different between these 2 different clades. And he wasn't fully conscious of what he was discerning, but that there are differences between them.
Well, I think he was always conscious of the actual characteristics, but in general, you don't need them. And so there were times, I think he was just, I like John quite a bit, and I appreciate his frustration over certain things. And so at some level, what he was saying was,
figure it out.
That's one of these. That's one of those. They're different. Now you figure out what the difference is so you can reliably recognize them. And, it is something you just have to do. And so it is, Gestalt is basically like, once you get the trick, you'll be able to spot the difference, even if you can't or don't want to specify it. But
yeah, so one of the easy differences between that you can tell a salamander apart from a lizard is that lizards have scales, and some of them are very smooth. If you're looking at a skink, the scales are going to be very smooth. They're not going to be keeled. They're not going to have little ridges down them like, for instance, rattlesnakes do. But they are scales. If you look at them close, you find that they're scales, and salamanders have no scales, and their skin tends to be a little tackier and often wet as well.
I actually think it's very tasteful.
Yeah, from all over your salamander licking.
Speaking of salamander licking, I did want to point out that although salamanders and lizards are distinct and recognizably so, that we have run into in our history one place where the two were conflated and it got recorded in an official name. You remember?
Is it Amphiglossus? No, it's not Amphiglossus.
No,
Astrolabe.
not a Latin name. Official place name.
Place name?
Yep.
You mean like a common name or a place?
Lizard Lake. Remember Lizard Lake?
Oh, yeah, in BC on Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lizard Lake is a lake with an impressive population of Tarica granulosa, I think, which is the rough-skinned newt, pound for pound, probably the most toxic animal on Earth.
All newts are salamanders. Not all salamanders are newts.
Correct. I know you know that. Yeah. So anyway, this lake, it is an actual lake, has a
Because lake is a misnomer.
a huge population of these. I don't know if this population is always aquatic. So Tarica tends to go on land sometimes, and then it breeds in the water.
They migrate on land. They do their like breeding migrations on land.
But some populations, I think some populations, only the males are permanently aquatic. Anyway, there's some flexibility around it. But in this lake, you can stand on the side and look in, and in certain places you can see 10, 20 individuals swimming around. They're very cool because they're toxic. They're completely unafraid, and so you can interact with these newts, easily catch them.
Don't lick them.
Yeah, no, licking them is not a good idea. Eating them is definitely not a good idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, the lake
same toxin as pufferfish have.
Yes, same
Tetrodotoxin.
Tetrodotoxin. Exactly. So anyway, the lake is called Lizard Lake for no good reason.
That's right. I'd forgotten that.
Yeah. Well, there you have it.
All right. I would gladly just go on and on about lizards, but I'm not going to. Another lizard that's not a lizard is New Zealand's tuatara.
A beakhead.
So I just needed to, because here, Zach, just show my screen here. Tuataras, also known as beakheads, also known as rhynchocephalians.
Yes.
Tuatara is the Maori for, I had it here somewhere. Oh, I lost it. Oh, it's on a different tuatara slide of mine. Is Maori for spiny back, I think, is what. Zach, can I have my screen back? And yeah, it's the genus Sphenodon, spines on back. And they are indeed not lizards, but they are sister to the squamates. So they're a strain. Oh, did I show a picture? Oh, yeah. Is this the picture I just showed? I think it is. This is a different one.
It's a different picture.
And I just screwed up this thing. Oh my God. Okay. This is a different picture, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, so I was showing the wrong picture entirely. Okay.
Explains why I couldn't make it out.
Okay. This is the one I meant to be showing. God damn it. Nothing is working. That is a tuatara there. And they sure look lizardy, right? Yep. They definitely have scales, etc. But here, we don't need all the details, but they are not lizards. And in part, we can tell that because unlike lizards, they don't have two penises. They don't have hemipenes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this case, the fact of them not being lizards,
it's really close.
It's a bit arbitrary because the basal lizard was lizard-like, and so we could just include we could arbitrarily have decided to call the larger group that includes tuataras lizards.
Yeah. I'm looking for a tree now. I've got all sorts of trees with all sorts of extinct reptiles, and that won't do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. You're like, didn't think tuataras were going to come up today, but
like,
here they are.
Stop talking about squamates.